Okay, sorry.
All right, we're a little bit late because of the issues with getting the recording going, and the broadcast going, but, we'll now call to order the February 5th meeting of the Select Board, and we will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Alrighty then, we will start by approving manifests.
Make a motion to approve the accounts payable manifest of January 29th, 2018, and the payroll manifest of January 30th, 2018.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, we'll pass those for signatures. You did that quick.
You did?
Make a motion, we approve the public and non-public minutes of January 22nd, 2018, as amended.
Second.
Note Charlene said it first by about a nanosecond. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, excellent. We will now do boards, reports from assigned boards and committees.
Budget committee met last Thursday, and we went over the latest review of the town budget. And there were quite a few good questions, a fair amount of good questions. So it went over well. So I
Okay.
think they're just waiting for us to finish up.
Were there any questions that were remaining for us to respond to?
I don't believe so, no.
Okay.
I mean, Chris was there. He pretty much answered every question with whatever backstory or details are needed, so we're,
Okay,
yeah.
good. So the public hearing, the budget committee's public hearing on the town budget is on Thursday night at 7 PM.
Yes.
Here in this room. I will be there, Chris, as well.
Okay.
Okay? Planning?
Planning board meets next week. We've got a continuation of the case. First. That's about it. There's one other agenda item, but
Okay. CIP?
Nothing, no.
Okay.
The 300th committee, Steve Welch sent out emails to everybody to try to just trying to get people to just keep coming along with with ideas and stuff. He had quite a list,
Okay.
but he's trying to keep everybody aware of
That's good.
things settle.
Yeah.
did you communicate to them about the budget and stuff?
Right after the board acted on it, yes, yeah.
Alright.
Okay. I've been, I think as I mentioned before, I'm gonna participate in the logo judging contest, and I think we're just trying to get everybody's schedules coordinated for a
Yeah.
date to be able to do that. Okay. Town administrators report.
All right, another marathon plowing night last night. These ice events are really challenging. This was a rain event.
Yeah.
But, and so really the pain was all on the gravel roads. We had trucks spinning all over the place. Trucks rescuing each other, trucks spending most of the night in reverse, trying to get sand down before they drove over stuff. They were out by 9 last night, and they were wrapping up at noon today.
Ouch.
And they were pretty haggard looking at noon. We had a lot of issues with cars being left in the roads. I think people were giving up. They were finding they couldn't drive, and they were leaving cars at the end of driveways, leaving cars in the road. I think Poor Farm we had a hard time getting to until at some point after sunrise this morning because of a car in the road. We had a plow hit a car at the end of a driveway. No injuries or anything, relatively minor, but it was rough.
It's been a tough winter with the rain and the melt and
Yeah.
rain
Yeah, we'd rather have snow.
Yeah.
Exactly.
This, you know, it was enough rain that, you'd put down a layer of salt and the rain would just wash the salt away and you're back to
Right.
ice again on the gravel. You know, we haven't had a full thaw, we've had partial thaws, and, I think some of the gravel roads are still essentially 2 or 3 inches of ice.
Yeah.
So, all of the, it's been all winter, all of the complaints are coming from emergency lanes that are made out of gravel and town roads that are made out of gravel. It's just the way the weather's been this year, so.
Well, being someone who lives on one of those gravel roads, I actually think the guys have been doing a really good job. You know, and particularly last night as well, so.
Yeah, it's not for lack of effort, certainly.
No, exactly.
So that was last night. I think Wednesday's event is supposed to be snow, so
Yeah.
that's good news. Let's see, our door lock installation is underway here. We had authorized that a few weeks back. The wiring's done. The compactor at the recycling center, did we talk about that since the service?
There was a question about whether or not it was up to
Pushing,
full
yeah.
pressure.
Yeah, and everything we got them out and everything looks okay, so, that wasn't the problem.
Okay.
We haven't needed to overflow into that standby one.
So it's just a
So it's a
holiday blip.
fluke, I guess. Yeah, we can't figure out any other angles to.
But it's
play.
running okay now.
Yeah, everything's fine. It's always been running.
I didn't know if there might have been a seal that was leaking in the valve, you know, that was holding the pressure, keeping it from compacting it as tight as it should. I mean,
Yeah, that's what we brought them out to make sure of, and it passed with flying colors, so,
It's
Yeah,
the
but
Amazon.
did Atlantic,
phenomenon.
yeah.
you have Atlantic look at
Yeah.
that? Yeah.
Yep. So what we're gonna try and do is, well, we're gonna guess the next couple, you know, we looked at last year's traffic and we're gonna try and guess this spring. There's a couple of big weekends in the spring volume-wise. We're gonna try and guess on those ahead of time and get that Band-Aid overflow dumpster there just in case for those. We don't wanna pay for the thing to just sit there all year, but,
Yep.
we're gonna try that and.
When the summer people come in and when the summer people leave.
Right, and what that, you know, which weekend is that everybody comes up to the, you know, you don't know until you.
Memorial
until you're in it.
Day, and Labor Day.
Of course, but then the history, looks like there's a couple April bumps too,
Oh,
where,
really?
you know, which I suspect is the spring cleanup.
Spring
Yeah, as
cleanup.
soon as things start thawing out, yeah.
So we're gonna guess and see if we can,
Okay.
and they have a couple tricks for next Christmas with some of the materials that we're seeing go down the chute that, you know, like big styrofoam and stuff. We're gonna try some different things there, but
Okay.
anyway, we seem to be out of the woods there. We talked about the billboard on the Route 4 property last
Yes,
week.
yeah.
And you said we don't wanna extend that any further. You were really non-committal about it, but decided that's what you wanted to do.
The chainsaw will take care of it.
It will.
I looked at it.
Oh, yeah, it will. I communicated that to the billboard company, and they have a contract through September, which I think I forwarded you the email of. They asked if we could continue through September so that they could honor their contract, and in that, they promised that they would have the ad down the next day, and the billboard they would remove the billboard
Okay.
by some date in October. I said, hey, if you've promised to deal with it at the end, maybe we'll trade you for a few more months, and so that option is before you if you.
Yeah, that's fine.
Maybe we should
if
get
you're
a big
comfortable with it.
picture of Charlie and put it on the billboard for
Yeah.
the last hurrah. He'll be holding a chainsaw.
So if you're comfortable with that extension of the existing one,
Yeah, that's
if not,
fine.
that's
Yeah,
fine, we can
that's
go
fine.
either way, but.
That's fine.
Okay. Let's see. In here, Chief Vilchuk got reelected by the membership of the fire department, so you need to, you can reappoint him and sign the form that's in there. And the only other open thing from last time was the emergency lane request for Lamprey Drive, and I wrote to you about how that doesn't fit with law or
Yep.
policy, and just need your guidance on what to tell the resident that had come and asked about it.
That really is nothing but a driveway.
I would say, explain it as such. It doesn't fit with the existing law or town policy. Keep it.
Yep.
All right, I will do that, and that is all I have.
Do we need to vote on this? The refund for the,
Yeah, that has been our practice, and I don't understand why, but it seemed like it worked in the past,
Is
so.
that the town clerk refund?
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and get that out of the way. Just give us the background on it.
it says, please consider refunding $99 to Woodwind Timber Inc., who transferred a registration to a new vehicle on January 9th, 2018, based on an MSRP of $44,000. A copy of the registration is attached. The customer subsequently provided a copy of the new vehicle sticker, which indicated the MSRP was really $38,500.
Why are we doing that?
We owe money.
Practice.
No, I understand.
Yeah, I don't know why we have to approve it, and I don't know that we do, but it's always been done that way, and.
I don't
didn't have
ever
time to-
recall.
Yeah, we slip one or two of them by every once in a while. They-
Right, okay.
And I will find out, before we do another one, I'll find out why we do it that way, but
All right, so,
just trying to get the guy's
do
money
we need a
back.
motion on it, or?
Yeah, just,
All right, I'll make a motion, we refund $99 to Woodwind Timber Inc. As a refund of overpayment on vehicle registration.
Second.
All in favor?
okay, thank you.
Got that one out of the way.
There you go.
All right, the budget and the warrant articles. How do you want to approach this, Chris? Do we want to have a final conversation on the budget before we kind of go through the warrant articles?
Yep, we should talk revenues briefly. You're seeing that for the first time this weekend. On the expense side, I've added some notes in the narrative column and cleaned some of that stuff up since you last saw it.
Do you have any other copies of the
You
budget?
can have that one.
What's the difference between the two that we have here? Or did I just end up with two?
You might have ended up with two, yeah.
There you go.
The only open question that I can remember is line 204,
Yeah, the fire.
fire supplies and equipment. I think Charlene, you had asked about this one. Spoke with the chief, and we actually talked about this at the budget committee too. We didn't spend it all last year. He was holding back on that because of repairs that were gonna become needed for the forestry truck. There was a head gasket problem, or what had been originally diagnosed as a head gasket problem, and he was holding back on a few different things until that got taken care of. It was taken care of, and it wasn't as serious a problem, so. He's got hose and nozzles and has plenty of things that are ready to be replaced. And we'll put that money to use if you will leave it there. That's his estimate of what he's gonna need. An explanation of why it didn't get spent last year, which makes sense.
And how does that compare to, do you know how that compares to 2016?
16, I don't think we spent it all in 16 either.
No, it didn't.
Yeah,
That's kind of what that's why I was asking, can it go down to 7 unless there was something specific there?
he's got, I think he put off hose replacement, and that's the first thing on his mind.
Engine hoses or water
Yeah,
hoses?
yeah,
Engine hoses?
Fire hoses.
The fire hoses?
Yeah.
Like as opposed to radiator hoses?
Yeah,
Correct.
yeah, not to
Yeah.
keep the truck.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the, engine 3 has got a pump issue that we don't really know what it's gonna take yet, so he's nervously watching that for 2018 already, so.
Okay.
One of the things that fire in particular struggles with is that so much of their routine maintenance and inspection work happens late in the calendar year. I've been trying to get them to pull it back
Yeah,
you know, just to, because they end up kind of holding back, waiting for that to happen until late in the year, and we end up with a bit of a scramble at the end to, you know,
Some money's
to get what we
drying up.
need.
yeah.
So, that's the line that often experiences that, so.
So, where do you want to go with that?
Well, I think we keep it where it is this year and look at it again next year.
If it's not spent,
If it's,
then.
if it's not, if it's still trending under, then
Okay. Other areas of the budget?
So I just had a kind of a question for discussion. So we've approved, or we've increased the line for election officers, and then we've gotten a request from the tax collector for an increase. And so it got me thinking about the other stipend positions, and do we want to look at those other stipend positions for elected positions, i.e. moderator and
Town clerk,
treasurer?
oh, treasurer, right.
I think the town clerk got one not too long ago.
One issue I have with it is then, you know, it's kind of, well, you know, I haven't had a raise in 3 years. Well, why didn't you ask? And that happens with those stipend positions. That's not something that, you know, in fact, for many years, a lot of them just stayed the same for
For eons,
a long
Yeah.
time, yeah.
yeah.
And I don't have an issue with them getting a raise. What I had an issue with was like a 10 to 30% raise. Those-
Right,
Right,
And it was kind of steep.
yeah, and
And they are elected positions.
right, I agree. And I think I said that, at the last meeting, that, you know, these are elected positions, so you know what you're signing up for, but I'm just wondering, because the, you know,
you're
everybody
ask-
else is, do we think that, you know, in looking at the last couple of years, certainly the moderator and the treasurer has not.
so let's put this all in perspective, because when we talk about the election workers, we have the election, I'm not gonna get the terminology right, the election inspectors and the ballot clerks?
So the ballot clerks and the supervisors of the checklist.
Right.
The ballot clerks are not elected positions.
Right, and
Those
then
are
the
volunteers.
supervisors, and the supervisors are.
Supervisors of the checklist are an elected position.
Okay, and we decided to give the ballot clerks a $1
Correct.
increase, right?
Or we budgeted for what would equal to a $1 increase.
Right, correct. And then for the supervisors, what did we say there?
We agreed to budget for a $1
$1
increase.
Right, okay, so now your suggestion is that because we're giving those folks an increase, why wouldn't we consider the moderator and the treasurer at the same time?
Well, and because the tax collector has also asked for, you know, increase.
You know, I'm gonna put it right out there, I'm not in favor of the tax collector getting an increase.
It's an 8.7% increase.
I'm not in favor of
The
it.
treasurer has not requested an increase.
Right, the treasurer and the moderator have not requested, but my point is, you know, kind of thinking.
Yeah, I mean, it's not, it wouldn't be out of the question to give them a bump also,
Right,
in line with what we've done
Right.
with the other ones.
Everything else you've done is on an hourly basis. You're talking about stipends now, so
right.
so you're,
Right,
The election, yeah, well, the. and then
Supervisors.
The supervisors, I don't know why, but the supervisors are also hourly, but.
so
Yeah, the tax collector and
what does the budget
the,
currently reflect?
yeah, treasurer stipend.
Stipend.
What does the budget currently reflect for the tax collector?
if you look at line 46, you'll see last year's budget was 11.5, and this year's, draft is at 12.5.
So you put in,
We just plugged in what
plugged in
was requested.
$1,000
Yeah, we plugged in
based
what
on
was
the
requested.
request.
46, you said?
I'm just gonna put it out there, I don't agree with it. I don't agree with it. I think, you know, the tax collector ran for the position, knew what the position is. I think he's had support. I think there has maybe been some challenges because of the transition, but I think he's also had the support of the full staff. And, you know, he's only been in the position for a year. So, I'm not sure that I support that. I would be in favor of putting that back to the original stipend.
You say no, don't support any increase at all, okay.
Now, if somebody wants to change that at town meeting on the floor, then, and the voters want to vote on that, that's their prerogative, but I'm not in support of increasing the position for somebody who's been elected and has only
Because
been in.
historically, that position has gone quite a number of years before the,
Before,
in it, when,
Yeah,
and the last two tax collectors, Brad Batchelor and Bill Garnett, did have a, you know, a good, what's the word? You know, they had a reason for asking for an
Right,
increase. you
right.
know.
They had been in the job for a period of time.
Exactly.
Correct, yeah. So I don't know, am I the only one that feels that way?
no, I mean, I agree, I think 8.7% is
Too much.
too much. Yeah.
So do you believe that it should be a lower amount, or it should be nothing at all? Lower percentage or nothing at all?
I lean towards nothing at all, because to me, you're doing it not for the money, you're doing it for the civic duty, right? It's the same reason why we're here. Not doing it for the money, doing it because it's our responsibility as citizens, right? So the reason why the amount is the amount for the tax collector is because of the amount of time and effort in the role of that position, so. But to just say because, I haven't gotten one in a few years and I'm busy,
Yeah.
I don't,
The other thing is that we have more automation in place now.
Right.
That has reduced the number of like telephone calls coming in and. What do you think, Charlie?
I'm torn. Between, like, leave it as it is, or possibly, you know, like a $500 increase.
Okay.
1,000 is too much.
1,000 is too much.
I agree, 1,000's too much. I'd be content with 250 or 500, I mean, just to respect the fact that he did take the reins, he stepped up with little to no handoff from the previous tax collector. I mean, he took off running with it, and he's done a great job so far. But I definitely agree, 1,000's a bit high.
I agree that he didn't have the benefit of the handoff from the previous tax collector, but he did have the deputy, and he did have Chris and
Support
staff.
staff, yeah.
You know, so one could conceivably make the argument that he had more support than.
And there's
Different-
no, and there's
different
no
kinds of support.
There's no
Yeah.
guarantee that that there's this transition period in an elected position.
I mean, it may
Either.
happen, over the years, things are changing with these small communities, you know, the way they pay people and stuff, but for years, it's been like it is. And, if we start moving a lot of these positions, you know, to pay more of a, you know, they're higher value positions, they're paying them more like they were working on the private sector, but we haven't gone that route yet.
Right.
If we start going to that route, well, we may have to give in a little bit. But, the key is, you know what you were getting into, it's an elected position, and, you know, and we've been very lucky, we've had some amazing people doing these jobs for us.
Yep.
They've done it for a number of years, and to all of a sudden say, well, you know, I haven't had a raise in 3 years, and this and this and this, is, right off the bat, $1,000 is too much.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
I was actually surprised to see the request.
I was too. I was too.
Do we know when it was set at the current level?
Been a couple of years, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe 5.
I can't remember.
Because I remember when I first started on the budget committee, it was 9,000.
Yeah. Heidi was great at that. She could answer that question
Yeah.
off the top of
I'm
her
sure she
head.
could. To me, that's kind of irrelevant though, right? Because if you think about, if you were working someplace and I took your job, right? And I'd only been in the job 6 months, and I said, well, Tony hasn't had a raise in 2 years, so I deserve a raise,
Right.
right? To me, it's that kind
Back
of
again, though, it is different than the private sector. But,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right, so we've got 2 not in favor, we've got one that suggested potentially 500, and we've got one that suggested 250 to 500. Do we want to get Tyler on the phone? So I'm not quite sure how we move forward from here.
Use a motion.
Yeah, someone make a
Yeah,
motion.
somebody make a motion.
I'll move we increase the stipend by $500.
That's 4.3%.
3.5.
Yeah.
Do I have a second on that?
Pardon me?
I asked for a second.
I'll second it.
All right,
I know where this is
I
going.
know where this is going too. This is,
Go ahead,
All right.
ask for a vote.
all in favor of increasing the tax collector stipend by $500? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, so when you have a tie, the motion as proposed passes. Oh, I thought it did.
Motion fails for lack of a majority.
Oh, it does, okay, motion fails. All right, so the motion for, I always thought it was the other way around. The motion for $500 increase has failed. Would anyone else like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we increase the tax collector stipend by $250.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? All opposed? Motion passes.
Pass, okay.
Okay, so now we go back to my other question.
Right, and I just wanted to clean that
Right.
one up first, all right?
Yeah, no, I agree.
All right, so the other question related to moderator and treasurer. Now, given in light that the tax collector's position has received a $250 increase, do we feel that the moderator and treasurer who have not asked for increases, do we feel that we should, I guess in good faith, give them an increase as well?
That's what I'm throwing out there.
Yep. And Chris, give, what line for salaries for both of them?
You'd be looking at
Yell would be,
48 and 33.
All right, so 33, let's start with the moderator first. The moderator is at $600. Level funding. I will agree that I do think that that's one position that's gotten more complicated.
Definitely has.
significantly,
Yeah,
especially in recent years.
yeah. All right. Does anyone want to make a motion relative to this position? Or do you feel like we need more discussion first?
What's an appropriate amount?
Now, that was increased not that many years ago. It used to be, it was 300 forever.
Was it increased when when the current moderator was in the position, or was it before the current moderator came in?
I don't remember.
I don't remember. Well, let's put it in perspective. If it's a, and help me out with the math, because it's not my particular area, but if it's currently it's $600, a 10% increase would be $60, which would bring it to $660. right?
True, yeah.
Yep. So if we're talking percentages,
I actually think this might have gone up $100 at one of the town meetings.
recently,
I,
3 years
it
ago.
looks like, I have some actuals from old years. It looks like in 2013, the actual was 300, in 2014, the actual was 600. So it looks like there was a move.
Yeah, they went from
2014.
300 to 600.
Sounds
Yeah.
familiar.
That's actuals, not proposed budget, so if there was something on the floor at town meeting that would show up, they would catch that, presumably.
does anyone want to make a motion?
I'll move we increase the moderator's stipend to, $650, by $50.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Motion passes that will increase the moderator's salary to $650. All right,
And treasurer?
so that's
Treasurer.
48. Treasurer is currently at $5,000.
What does the treasurer
And
do?
she got, that line also includes the deputy treasurer.
There's a deputy.
And what do they get, 250 or 500, Chris?
Yeah,
Can't remember.
it's one of those, yep.
Is
I don't know
Lori
off the
the
top of my
deputy
head.
treasurer?
Yeah,
Might have
who's-
been,
who's the
and I
deputy
can't
treasurer?
remember
Sheila
then when that
Fox.
was increased the last time.
So wait, that line, salary for $5,000, it's split evenly by the two?
No, not evenly,
No, it's like 250 or whatever goes to the deputy and the rest goes to the
yeah.
Okay, so refresh,
treasurer.
The
treasurer,
deputy's role is really just to fill in when the treasurer, is away or can't sign a check or something like that. It's limited,
How many deputies do we have?
one.
Just one.
So
The
the-
deputy treasurer and the deputy tax collector, two different positions.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah, but the treasurer's responsibility is, signing checks and making sure that the funds are, in the accounts, looking at the statements and making sure we're investing in the right places, right? Within the limits of what we can do.
yeah, yes, and to be a check on the staff that are actually handling the money, and to provide another set of eyes on those, in layman's terms.
Okay.
Controlling
it's
the purse strings.
It's the treasurer's money.
Yep.
The staff does most of the legwork, day to day, but, the treasurer's responsibilities are pretty significant. It's a little, I could do a little looking to see what other towns are doing for us, but it's a little late for that at this point. If you want to compare it to, what others are getting paid, and
I kind of feel like $5,000 is a good number for those two positions.
Oh, both the collector, the treasurer and the deputy.
The total of 5,000 I feel is appropriate,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, I kind of,
Cheryl wouldn't be bashful asking if she wanted more, she'd ask.
and I think it would probably be good to look into for next year, to
Okay.
do what Chris said and kind of just get a comparison of,
Okay.
I'd say hold off on
yeah,
that one.
Okay.
there's probably a pretty big spread in different towns in terms of
Right.
levels of actual responsibility and
That's
what's,
what I was wondering.
yeah,
I think that one needs a little bit more digging into,
Okay. All right, so do we want to just table that?
I think.
A lot of towns, the tax collector, town clerk, or the treasurer, trying to think.
Well, this is
One
one
there,
thing,
Tax
yeah.
collector
one
and
there
treasurer
that's a
can't be the same
conflict of
person.
interest, but there's some towns that have had, one person's doing all three positions.
you can't do that.
It's a little,
Yeah, the tax collector and the town clerk both have to give money to the
Yeah.
treasurer, and they can't be the same person. The tax collector and the town clerk can be the same person, but the treasurer has to be
Right, 'cause-
independent.
Right.
That's who's checking to make sure that the funds actually make it into the bank
yeah,
that are collected on behalf of the town. That's the role of it.
Okay.
holding us up there, the person holding all three of those positions, and for 20-plus years, and they finally, they know she absconded with a little over 2 million, but they don't know how much.
In Holderness?
And she was in that position for like 22, 23 years.
Oh, my God.
Go check and balance there.
Okay, so does anybody else have any other questions or comments on the line items in the budget?
No, those were mine.
Covers everybody? All right, Chris, before we go to the warrant articles, do you want to take us through anything on the revenues?
Yeah, just real quick, there's not much of a story here. That's the single
Yeah,
page with the gray column on the left. Yeah, what you're looking at is, this process really doesn't mean a whole lot.
yeah, yeah,
The revenue projection that matters is the one we make before we set the tax rate. So this is
Right.
kind of it's a good exercise for town meeting if something's changing dramatically and you can get some sense of what the net tax impact will be. But there's only a couple areas that I'm suggesting that we expect some changes. Interest and penalties on delinquent taxes. That number is drifting down as our unpaid taxes are drifting
Yep.
down. More and more people are paying their taxes on time.
Yep.
We don't want to count on that. And it's not the way we want to make money anyway, but.
Right.
So that's trending down generally.
timber tax, huh?
Timber, that was a one-off, I think.
Oh, right,
We had
okay.
a spike this
Yeah,
year.
yeah, okay.
Business licenses and permits, we've budgeted low on that for a while. I pushed that one up a little. The one that really matters is motor vehicle permit fees. We broke $1 million in 2017 for the first time there. That number has grown by about 100,000 for the last 4 or 5 years, since the recession really ended. It's
Yep.
screaming. And we've slowly caught the budget number up to reality. Still playing it
Conservative.
conservatively, but it's really pretty consistently increasing now, so. Building permits, I'm gonna suggest that we move that up. You're gonna see at your next meeting, proposal for a slight increase in a couple of building permit things. We're retooling that, and we'll talk about that next time. But more importantly, we got a lot in the pipeline already, and it's January. This is gonna be a big year for house construction. We've got Maple Ridge, flying. We got 3 and 4 lot subdivisions going. We've got, you're seeing it on the planning board. Some one-offs. We're looking like a busy year, and it's the first week of February. So, that's the kind of thing that often will jump in March, or, February, March, as people ramp up their plans for construction season. It's already noticeable. So we're gonna see more there, and we're gonna recommend that we charge a little bit more for a couple different flavors of permits, because we're not paying for our inspection services with our permit revenue.
Okay.
We're coming short.
Okay.
And we're gonna simplify it and tweak it a little bit, and you'll hear more about that coming up, but it's not a big increase, but it's gonna generate a little bit more money on this higher volume, so.
Yeah, we changed that stuff without a town meeting vote.
Yes, you have the authority to set fees, for regulatory stuff like that.
Ordinance fees, yeah.
Yeah.
There's legislation, isn't there, about getting rid of timber tax?
Yeah, I saw something about that. I don't know how far it's gotten.
Yeah, I haven't looked recently.
Yeah.
But, yeah,
Yeah, we don't count on it.
you're right,
It's a nice way to know what's going on, though.
right,
That,
Yeah.
that tracking of stuff is,
right,
it's not the dollars that matter, it's watching the roads and stuff like that.
yeah.
So I'm gonna keep rolling here if you're good
Yep,
with
go
that.
ahead, yep.
Meals and rooms and highway block grant, that we pretty much know what those are gonna be. The legislature's in session, so you never really know, but it's not a budget year for them, so, let's pretty much know what to expect there. Everything else is kinda ticky-tack, really.
Yep, yep.
But the net total is up in estimated revenues by 70,000. Almost all of that's in motor vehicle
Yep,
stuff. Everything below that line is transfers and things that they don't have any tax impact whatsoever. The big one is the transfers from capital reserve funds for 525,000. We report that. At this point in the year, we report it because it's going to town meeting. That's the fire truck purchase
Right.
going
Yep.
from
yep,
the capital reserve fund. We'll actually buy it through our checking account, so the money's gonna pass through.
Right.
That's why it shows up there.
yeah,
It's a wash in that sense.
yeah.
So that's revenues.
Okay, any questions, guys?
Nope.
The New Hampshire other grants and reimbursements, the 2017 actuals was 15 and change. Was that the SB 38 money?
Nope, that was, I think that was a hazard mitigation plan update. We did that, or was that early in 17?
That was,
That 17?
no, I actually think we did that last year.
It's one of those
Maybe-
one-off
yeah, it might have
things where we
been-
get a grant
Yeah.
to do something, and I can look it up, but it's this thing with an offsetting expense. Everything there has got some offsetting expense, so it's not like revenue.
Right.
Okay, so now what we need to do is go through the warrant articles that have monetary impact, and the board has to vote to recommend or not recommend each of the appropriations.
Yes, did you get the text of the warrant that we're working with? Is that what that is?
We got-
Good.
Yeah, it's stapled together with the minutes and the
Yeah. with
Oh,
the-
the agenda.
Good.
So, tell me, we just read each warrant article, and then somebody makes a motion to recommend, and then we get a second, and then we vote on it. Is that how it works?
Yes, and you, since you're dealing with, yeah, you don't even need, I don't think you need to read the whole thing.
Yeah.
When you get to the point of posting the warrant, then I think you'd be good to read the actual document into the record like that. This, you know the subject matter, so,
Okay.
do what you wish.
All right, you guys ready?
Yeah, let's
Okay,
do it.
so article number 1 is,
But before you start that, you have this too, this is the follow-along document.
yep,
Think about order too. This is becoming the order of business for town meetings, so if you wanna tinker with that, the sooner you let us know that, the better. It's not formally finalized until you post the warrant,
okay,
but,
We can put them wherever we need them.
right, if you wanna shuffle the order of operations here, the road bond article has to go first by law, and the operating budget has to follow it immediately, so there's no flexibility there. Everything else is at your discretion.
so can I recommend that we go through and get the numbers for recommending or not recommending, and then we can go back and have the conversation about order?
Sure.
Does that work for you guys?
Yeah.
Okay. Article number 1, we will not, recommend or not recommend, because it has to do with, town officers. Article 2 is the appropriation of $650,000 for the engineering, design, and highway construction, reconstruction on Ledge Farm and other roads. So I'll take a motion.
I'll make a motion that the select board recommends Article 2.
Second.
Second, all in favor? So the select board votes to recommend Article 2 by a vote of 4-0. So Article 3, do you want us to use this number that's here, Chris?
Well, we just amended it, so, why don't you use,
So we increased it by, well, we reduced 750 and added 50.
So line 33, we added 50.
yep, 3,743,642.
642?
Yeah.
Right, you're right on that, you're all set on that?
One more time, 3 million,
3,743,642. Which is 700 less than the number you just
$3,743,642.
Because we had the tax collector at 1,000, we reduced that to 250, and then we
added 50.
increased the moderator
Moderator.
by 50.
Yeah.
Correct? And that's all the changes we made. Okay. All right, so Article 3 is about raising and appropriating $3,743,642 for the operating budget. I'll take a motion.
I'll second, I'll make a motion that the select board recommends Article 3.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Select Board recommends Article 3 by a vote of 4-0. The next article is to see if the town will vote raise the appropriate the sum of $200,000 for engineering, design, and highway construction and reconstruction on Cooper Hill or other roads if a priority arises.
I'll make a motion that the select board recommends this appropriation.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The Select Board recommends the appropriation of $200,000 for highway design, engineering, and reconstruction. The next one is to see if the relates to $525,000 for the purpose of purchasing a new fire engine and to authorize the withdrawal of $525,000 from the fire department capital reserve fund, vehicle capital reserve fund.
I'll make a motion the select board recommends this appropriation.
Second.
All in favor? The select board will recommend this appropriation by a vote of 4-0. The next one is to see if the town will vote to amend the purposes of the fire vehicle capital reserve fund to add as purposes of expenditure, the purchasing of self-contained breathing apparatus for, okay, I'll take a motion on that.
Why is there, okay, never mind. I'll, make a motion that the select board recommends this appropriation.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Right.
Select Board will recommend this appropriation by a vote of 4-0. The next one is to see if we'll raise and appropriate, the town will raise and appropriate the sum of $100,000 to be added to the fire department vehicle capital reserve fund.
I'll make a motion that the select board recommends this appropriation.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The
Right.
Select Board will recommend this appropriation by a vote of 4-0. The next one is to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $23,700 for the purposes of purchasing the necessary fuel, supplies, equipment, and maintenance to run the ambulance and billing services, and to authorize the withdrawal of $23,700 from the ambulance and equipment replacement special reserve fund created for this purpose.
Make a motion that the select board recommends this appropriation.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Select Board will recommend this appropriation by a vote of 4-0. Next article is to see if the town will vote raise and appropriate the sum of $25,000 to be added to the previously established capital reserve fund for the purpose of performing a statutory reevaluation of property every 5 years.
I'll make a motion that we recommend this appropriation.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Select Board will recommend this appropriation by a vote of 4-0. The next one is to see if the town will vote and raise the to raise and appropriate the sum of $75,000 to be added to the Highway Capital Reserve Fund.
I make a motion the select board recommends this appropriation.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Right.
The Select Board will recommend this appropriation by a vote of 4-0. The next one is to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $5,000 to be added to the reserve fund for the purpose of funding the tricentennial fund.
I make a motion that the select board recommend this appropriation.
Second.
Second.
All in favor? The Select Board will recommend this appropriation by a vote of 4-0. The next one is to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $10,000 to be added to the town building maintenance and repair expendable trust fund.
I make a motion that the select board recommend this appropriation.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The Select Board will recommend this appropriation by a vote of 4-0. The next one is to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $10,000 to be added to the invasive species prevention and eradication removal expendable trust fund.
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Right.
Select Board recommends this appropriation by a vote of 4-0. The next one is to see if the town shall vote to authorize the Board of Selectmen to place a conservation easement on the town-owned 34.2 acre parcel identified as tax map 11 lot 6, located on Kennard Road, and to convey such conservation easement deed to a qualified land trust organization.
So moved.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Right.
Select Board will recommend this warrant article by a vote of 4-0. The next one we will not vote on as a
Petitioned.
citizen petition. The next one is
And
the
there's no
same.
fiduciary.
Yep. And the next one is the same, so that is it. All right.
Couple notes, I saw 2 new petitions come in the door today. I don't know if they've been certified, so there's more to
You
come.
want to discuss this one?
We can, yeah.
And,
Oh, the warrant petition article.
petition articles, yeah,
Four.
they're related to the tax impact statements on the warrant. So I read them real quick while the petitioner was walking in the clerk's office with them, so they haven't been certified yet, so
Okay.
when we get them, I'll send them to you. But,
Was today the last day?
Tomorrow's the last day.
Tomorrow's the last day?
Yeah.
Right.
The only other kind of open thing, I've been going back and forth with Bart to make sure our language is good on the warrant. The only open question for us is how do we present this rights-based ordinance? We know what the petition says, and I think that's really what the warrant's gonna say, but we have to somehow make available the mother document that it refers to, and how we present that information is, we're just going back and forth on that, so.
Wouldn't that be the responsibility of the petitioner to make it available at town meeting?
I think that's where we're gonna end up, and we'll have it online, of course, and, you know,
Yeah.
because that's free, but, we're just trying to play that one by the book and make sure we, that's the only open question. Other than the order and, anything else that you know, you still have time, you don't have to post this for another couple of weeks, so you still have time to do things as a board. The petition deadline is tomorrow, so, then it's, you know, what order do you wanna tackle these things? And like I said, you don't have to decide that tonight if you don't want to.
No, we don't change anything after tonight because it goes to the budget committee.
You don't change anything with an appropriation,
It's
but you
just-
can change the order in which things appear on the ballot, or you can add non-appropriation
Okay.
warrant articles
Okay.
right up until the posting deadline.
I just wanna clear my head back on the one on the conservation easement. Once this takes effect, the money is in the fund, and the Conservation Commission will recommend the boards pay the money, what's it, $12,000 approximately, for that Kennett easement?
I think it was 12,500 was the original one, plus whatever the surveying costs were. And I think Bear Power submitted a bill.
But that doesn't have to go before town meeting.
Right,
That's
that's-
done internally.
That's
Right.
done in a public hearing?
We're gonna, actually, you have a public hearing next week on the
Right,
spending
yes,
of the
okay.
money. We had touched on this one the last time the commission was in. We kind of said, well, we committed to reimbursing these
I'm
costs.
just trying to
and,
remember exactly how it
We're gonna
went.
make that whole, the placement, so all the work will have been done in preparation for the easement, and it will have all been paid for come time for town
Yes.
meeting. The actual placement of the easement is town's meeting's responsibility, so. We'll bang through that next week quickly, I hope. We kinda already covered it, so we'll hold the hearing. Make sense?
I thought that was happening tonight, so.
Oh, sorry, is that why you're sitting here?
Yeah.
No. Sorry. 12th. The 12th,
It's all.
yeah.
Still nice to have you.
Does anybody have any comments on the order? The only one I'm wondering about is if we should put the HVAC one before the tricentennial fund.
Yeah. That's more of an infrastructure, you know,
Yeah.
you call it a household cost.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking.
Okay.
The only other thing is, if there was anything with I'll say a questionable vote, you'd move if somebody gets up and wants a secret ballot, then you'll have to get that process started, and then you continue. If you think there's anything that may do that, we wanna move it up a little bit.
Oh,
The bond will be
a
that,
bond will be
Yeah,
that,
that's-
so
right.
that, and that will be ongoing
Yeah.
as,
Can
I
I,
don't see anything else that's jumping out at me there,
No, everything else is pretty standard.
yeah.
yeah,
The,
just those
the
last
two, for the fire department, the fire truck purchase, that's coming out of a reserve fund.
Yep,
That's gonna happen, it's gonna happen. I mean, not that I like to predict the future, but do you think it's, this year, it's more critical to them to get that permission to change the purpose of their vehicle reserve fund? To do the scuba gear?
no,
Is it worth flipping those, or does it matter?
Yeah,
I mean, I think they're both gonna, I think they're.
Kind of a given, I mean, there's no money there, it's only changing the,
Right.
yep.
Right.
Yeah, those are usually pretty easy. All right, anything else, you guys?
Everything.
What's this PLIA boat inspections? We already have that budgeted. The petition warrant.
we have, well, what you are proposing is a appropriation to the expendable trust fund, and the board has used that expendable trust fund for very similar expenses in the past. That was what it was, that's how it was explained to the voters when it was originally set up, was, we're gonna do these annual functions, and we're gonna try to build up something so that we can respond if and when
Yeah.
the time comes. This article would essentially, well, it would be town meeting saying how that money would be spent, and would leave the board with perhaps more than they need in that 10,000 to do the same work. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a direct appropriation instead of passing it through the trust fund and through the board.
so it's a lack of trust in the town to continue to do what we've done in the past.
Seems duplicative.
It is totally. I'm wondering if we should make a motion on it, since it's got a dollar amount to it, unlike the other petition warrant articles.
Is that it within our authority?
Yeah, I think you can.
I seem to recall, like, my second year or so here making a.
Yeah, I remember. We had to, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can do that with petition articles or not.
But I guess we just speak to it at town meeting.
Let me see if I can find an answer quick.
I thought as long as there was a, money involved that you did. Do you recall, Charlie?
pardon me?
Do you recall on petition warrant articles if there's a dollar amount involved, whether the board votes on it or not? I see,
Figure it doesn't hurt to vote on it. If you wanna do that, you can do that. There was a time before you weren't supposed to put them, but now I think that the RSA
I got it right
allows
here.
that to be done.
This is NHMA. The governing body and official budget committee must also include their recommendation. And I didn't read the paragraph before this, so I'm assuming this is for towns that have taken the step that we have to require these things on the ballot. Must also include their recommendation or non-recommendation on all special warrant articles. A special warrant article is one that proposes an appropriation and is A, submitted by petition, or B, calls for the issuance of notes or bond, or C, calls for an appropriation to a capital reserve or a trust fund. Blah, 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 blah.
yes,
So, I think Charlie's right, you should vote on it. If we can't put it in there, we'll take it out, but, well, let's have your find out for sure, but, I think it does belong there.
okay, so I'll take a motion.
So select board, just for the sake of discussion, Select Board recommends, I'll make a motion that Select Board recommends this appropriation.
You can also make one that the select board not recommend.
Can I?
Yes.
Or we can just vote that way, so then it doesn't create,
Which one is it,
Doug,
the
for lack of a
4,800?
second.
it doesn't
You need to,
create.
you need to say no.
Which
Well,
one?
you can, budget committee all the time votes not to recommend.
Yes, that's what your motion should be.
Okay,
What's your motion
so
should be?
I make I'll make a motion, I'm gonna modify my motion, pull it back, the original. Make a motion that the Select Board does not recommend this appropriation.
That's for the 4,800,
Yeah.
yeah.
Second,
All in favor of this motion?
Not, yeah.
to not
To not
recommend.
recommend.
Not recommend.
Okay, so the select board has voted by vote of 4-2-0 to not recommend the appropriation of $4,800 for PLIA boat inspections. Yeah, I just want to go on record, because since I have been a strong supporter of the PLIA, since I formally ran the boat inspection program, that it's not that I am against supporting the PLIA or the efforts of the Lake Coast program, because I understand how important it is. I just believe that it's duplicative in the fact that the town has started a fund for $10,000 with the intention that, you know, part of that would go towards supporting the annual Lake Coast program, and the rest would be used as an opportunity for us to save some money in the event of a catastrophic issue with invasive species. So again, I'm not opposed to
Right.
the Lake Coast program, I'm opposed to duplicative appropriations.
Ditto.
Same, and I think before this trust fund was created, I think there were a couple of years that we simply, that the town just appropriated, I believe it was 4,000 a
Yes,
year?
yes.
Just to fund the lake inspections alone, so we've increased our support and
Exactly.
the scope of our support over the years.
Exactly.
And we've managed it since, so I don't see the need to recreate it.
And by the way, I'm the one who first brought it to the town via warrant article, to ask for funding,
It
so,
amounts to like a $6,000 increase when we start putting 10 grand instead of 4.
exactly, exactly, yep. All right, that was efficient. So in terms of order, I mean, I think the only one I mentioned was HVAC before tricentennial. I mean, we've got time, so if anybody does think of anything else, we can certainly let Chris know. All right, Chris, anything else you need from us tonight?
I don't believe so. Did you sign Jay's appointment in that
This,
folder?
I don't know if I did I?
you did. Yeah. And did we have to sign the?
Nah, that's good.
Reimbursement?
No,
Okay.
that's good.
Do a motion?
Yeah, just two comments. First off, I just wanna say that I've been seeing a lot of promotion about, the things that the rec department has been doing. There seems to be a lot of good things that they're doing for both, you know, youth activities and adult activities, and I just wanna encourage everyone to continue to check out the website, cause there's a lot of good things going on. The team is doing a really good job, and I hope that
Yeah.
people take advantage of all the good work that they're doing. And then the second is just a reminder that the Budget Committee's public hearing on the town budget is this Thursday night at 7 PM in this room. And this is the opportunity for people to come and comment on the budget.
And the school board deliberative session
Session
is
is
tomorrow night.
at the school
Correct.
at 7,
Yeah.
I believe.
All right, with that, I'll take a motion.
I move we adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Right.